welcome back to the DP World Tour Picks and Bets. Skylar Hoke here, joined by a couple friendly faces. Our friend Tom Jacobs is 30 today. Happy birthday, Tom.
Happy birthday, Tom.
Wisely. But we join with our DP World Tour Patriots here. Even on the American side, we have Axis and Ryan Baroff joining us. Fellas, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Hopefully RB's doing well as he flickers in and out. You're gonna have this is what you get when you get us three. So I am excited. You got the players on one side and you have Africa's major on the other side. Can't get any better than that.
Yeah, we'll see. I can hear you guys all right. Can't see too much, so we'll see how this goes.
You know, some technical difficulties on a Monday late evening here, but we appreciate you guys. Last time we spoke was Hero Indian Open. DLF delivered as always. Between the three of us, we had every single person covered on the top 10 of the leaderboard. Outside of the winner, Marcel Siem, Yannick Paul finished second. Jaden Scaper had a quadruple bogey, I believe, on the 17th hole, who Alexander Knapp missed out by a stroke. Anybody else that we just missed, RB, you bet like second, third, fourth? I mean, tough week overall.
Yep, juiced. Higa, it was, quite a scene out there. But good for Siem. He hasn't won in, 10 years or so.
Yeah. Happy to see that. Axis, I know, tried to bring Gavin Green back to life. Almost did for a place. No luck, but all that is behind us, right? We are on to our favorite tournament of the year. You know, we have, I guess we could say there's probably two of them. This one right here, Magical Kenya Open, and then the one, rest in peace, and the PGA Tour did away with match play today, was, our Belgian knockout. So we can hold on to this event right here to hopefully deliver year after year, because this is where, Guido Migliozzi fell into our good graces 4 years ago. I believe it was 4 years ago now, right?
2019.
Yeah. 2019, people can look to the PGA Tour this past week on Sunday, right? Kurt Kitayama, who was also a two-time winner out of the same Q school class as Guido, that year. So great for Kitayama winning. Unfortunately, Guido is not teeing it up this week. Was quite disappointed. Don't know why, though.
I mean, they're not playing it at Karen CC, so that's my only guess. It's been a tough stretch for Guido, so hopefully he's getting some good R&R, enjoying Dubai, getting those good sunshine rays, and be back. I mean, that's what he does, though. He disappears, and then he just wins, so.
Really is. And I think I mentioned on the last show, Hero Indian Open was the course. DLF was exactly what Guido needed to find some form at 40-1. I think he shot 141. So we might need a little bit more time off. I don't disagree.
It was so bad.
But this was the event last year, one of my favorite shows of the year that we get to do because of, a certain deep dive into the bottom of the field. Some might call it the top of the field. I might call it the top of the field here. Last year brought us the one and only Safari Tour legend, Robson Chinhoy, if you guys can remember correctly. He had 6 wins to date on the season as he led up. I believe when we woke up Thursday morning, he was sitting inside the top 20. Pat Mayo was ready to buy an island. We had a good chance, at Chinhoy. He's still the leader on the Safari Tour Order of Merit. And I did some deep diving on some tweets because he is not in the field. And, our friend AT on Twitter was sending, tweets to us saying, I don't know how this guy is not getting one of the national spots. And I did some deep diving last night. And there was some translation from, I believe it's Swahilian, or the native language that he was tweeting in, because he's from Zimbabwe, said it was bribery why he's not in the field this week. So a little worried on our friend Robinson Chinhoy. Either he got the bag or the other 9 guys got the bag, because he's not teaming up.
Those 9 guys paid a bag to the sponsor exemption.
That's right.
And the best part of it all, I was too scared to start any controversy and tag him in any tweets or say anything. I woke up this morning and he followed me on Twitter.
Let's go.
So I might slide to the DM to Robson Chinhoy here later this week, see if we can get maybe a little one-on-one time via Skype here. And
maybe he's got better internet down there. So we'll see.
So Axis said it right. We're not at Karen Country Club any longer. We're over for the second year in a row to Muthaiga. Muthaiga, I believe, golf course. It had been seen prior to last year on the Challenge Tour. Last year was the first time we'd seen it on the DP World Tour. Ashton Wu was your winner. Either of you guys got any course takes as we head into this week?
Nope.
RB?
No, well, I mean, anywhere Ashon Wu wins, it's usually iron play and elevation and just hit a bunch of greens. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah. If I can remember watching it a little bit, I know Hurley Long, we had bet he was in contention because Karen Country Club was very tree lined and very tight. This one was a little bit more open, but it had some thick rough. I think like he got stuck on a tree branch on 18, or maybe that was Marcus Kinholt too, who had some challenge tour success there as well. Gagley was a winner, I believe, here on the challenge tour. Something similar, like just keep the ball in play. And Wu can putt a little bit. I think he got pretty deep. He won by 4 on that side. Kind of made a run. But yeah, I think everybody's pretty much in play. I'm not really going with too much course style. We're going to go down some long shots because the top of the board is full of guys. I think this is just the way 2023 has been, right? We're seeing Robert McIntyre, Rosner kind of being that sub 20-1 to start off. I don't start my card till the 50s. Boys, you anywhere up here?
I mean, I am not afraid to swim in these waters, but no, not this week. I just couldn't do it. If I pull it up here real quick, look, half this field I don't know anything about. I find it hard to even put a rating anywhere near what I think half this field should be. So that kind of throws off numbers for everybody else. So conservatively, I think Rosner would be my favorite at 21 to 22-1. So while I like Rosner here, same with Adrian, same with Bob, like it just couldn't get on the number for it.
Yeah, pretty similar. Rosner would have been the one that I bet. I did look at Ollie Becker. Obviously, his couple of top 10s here and one about a month ago. It just doesn't seem like his type of course. I don't view him as like accurate at all. So I started in the 30s with Sharma.
Going back to Shubhankar Sharma, not to be confused with Kartik Sharma, who was up last time we did a show. Add a couple zeros on there. But why is Sharma on your card this week, RB?
I think again, right? Iron play, elevation, and he's got a bunch of good finishes. He was third down in South Africa. He had a top 10 at Abu Dhabi. Played well at the Saudi International. 13th last time out at Hero. And I mean, we obviously don't have stats that are very reliable from there, but it seemed like he putted well and his iron play was good. And those would probably be the two things that I'm looking for here. So I just don't want to miss the win because I think we all know it's coming soon.
Good stretch of form.
I feel that way.
Yeah, we can never get Axis's, heart.
I mean, he's been playing well. I'm not going to pretend he didn't cross my mind. I wouldn't be surprised, I guess. Put it that way.
There you go.
I'm thinking Histatune's got to be close, right? I mean, he's 33s is tough, right? Histatune was the first round leader, right? Was it 3 events ago? And almost did it on one of the international series events on the Asian tour as well. So has shown some life. Gavin Green quickly slashed into the 40s, on most books this week from it. It's to me, I think Wu could almost make sense again if I was to make a decision here near the top, just because he seems to nick off a win, every couple of years like that. So wouldn't be surprised, but I'm sticking with a little bit informed guys with places down the leaderboard.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm going back to someone who's caused me lots of heartbreak over the years, and started out at 40-1. I know he's 55 elsewhere. I wanted the 6th place each way. You can do the math on however you want to figure that out, but I'm going to bet Connor Syme at 40-1. I don't know. I haven't bet him in a long time. He hasn't top 10'd he hasn't top 20'd in a long time, but there seems to be just some consistency there. I'm hoping he did play this last year. He's seen the course. I really don't have a strong way to twist anybody's arm to it other than in this particular field, he's been pretty consistent. So that was kind of enough for me for a couple guys, I bet, at that same number this week.
He's consistently a gutless loser.
Yep.
That's about it.
Yeah, right.
It's about close to time where he's got a 54-hole lead, maybe 2 strokes up when the back 9 hits. It feels about right for this time of
Yep.
year.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, 54 hole lead. He's gonna finish T12. So
Sky,
even though
Sky, do we have shot tracker stuff from this one last year or this year? I feel like
we
we
don't,
do, right? No?
well,
shot,
last
I
year,
don't know, but last year does have strokes gain data, maybe from caddies.
Yeah.
I looked at back on SGT to Green's tweets, and I didn't see confirmed shot tracker. So
Got
yeah, I don't know if Anthony Quayle's team. Hopefully, hopefully not.
Scotty Fernandez and Pedro. Yes, it's a bunch.
Oh well, damn. Well, they
Um,
said Syme was gaining 0.6 on his approach every round here last year, so that could be a lie.
okay, okay. So we shall see overall. I think. Well, let's see what the number is now. It's probably the most popular selection of the week. I guess Access. How deep is your next selection? We're all. If this is
Oh, I
unanimous,
got another
right?
40 to 1 with Grant Forest.
Okay, hit us on Grant Forest. Talk us through.
That one's just pretty much form because I don't think his distance will be. I mean, distance never hurts, but it's 7,200 yards. It's at elevation. I want to say at least a mile. They did it in meters, so that was rough math times 3. So, but he's got a handful of top 15s here. T6 in Singapore, T13 in Thailand when we last saw him. I don't know. Again, I just suffer for Scottish golfers, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar to the way I felt with like Veerman's price. Like Veerman has kind of been in the odd man's land. Somebody who, similar to Forrest, had a better year than most people that are around this number, in my opinion, just from peripheral watching. So never seem to land there unless it's a bomber's track. But we do have a unanimous selection here in the middle ground. RB sent off his tweet with his selections at about 8:15 this morning. So he might have got a better number than what's still available, but the one and only Jaden Trayscaper, 45 to 1, is the best number right now. DraftKings Sportsbook for that. I'm in. We felt the world, or thought the world of this kid for feels like 5 years now, right? I mean, he's just turning, I think, 22. Young gun, South African, and I don't necessarily want to say that Kenya courses might be the same as what they're playing, but Daniel Van Tonder had won at Karen Country Club. We had saw Justin Harding in the mix quite a bit. So something where there might be some familiarity in that style of golf. And he has just played, quite consistently the last couple of times out. I mentioned off the top of the show, he was going to place without that quadruple bogey on 17 last week. He was, 13th was his final finish, 17th the week before that. I believe we're going right to South Africa from this event. So this is one of my favorite kind of months on the tour overall. And he's somebody who I think is coming in soaring with that form.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Go ahead,
sorry. Go ahead,
RB.
Axis.
RB, you.
Me, good. Yeah, I mean, this is one you brought it to our attention, probably 3 or 4 years ago, right? When he was down there battling. I don't know if it was Joburg or something like that, but yeah, he just looks like he's found something, both on the Sunshine Tour and then the events that they play down there. Just consistently top 10, top 20. We know that he has the upside, and I would not be surprised if this was the breakthrough win. So let's all get it together.
Yeah, I imagine there has to be some comfortability, although it might not be identical to South Africa. I don't know the difference either, but there's a lot of elevation play down there as well. So hopefully some of that can translate. But again, the 55 to 1 each way was, that's easily the favorite bet of mine that I made this week.
Yeah, he seemed to be the one that coming in without a doubt, I was going to be starting my card there. And then the second one, RB, if we continue our kind of crossover with it, I don't, and this show is going to be full of them kind of on my card a little bit of guys I don't want to quit yet, right? Guys that, similar to the show we did Baroff with Tom, right, when we kind of previewed that stretch to close out the year. I'm still just trying to find guys in the 2023 season that I think highly of, and the numbers haven't reflected yet to it. And Alexander Knapp, I mean, continues to deliver, right? Back-to-back top 10 performances, somebody who definitely should have placed what I felt last time out. little older than somebody that we don't have as much information, it seems on, right? I think he's 33 years old.
Yep.
But why is he on your card this week, Baroff?
Yeah, well, I mean, I just thought it was a bad number. I caught an 80 early this morning, which seemed like, I mean, he could have been 45 with back-to-back top six finishes. He hits it plenty long. He's had success down in this part of the world too. Again, I'm not going to pretend like I know Kenya versus South Africa, but four-time Challenge Tour winner, including twice last year. One of those being the Dimension Data Pro-Am, which we know is one of their bigger events down there, and it can get you into a lot of stuff. So he's just consistently been up there in the top 10 and obviously has the winning upside. So let's ride it one more week, and hopefully he can get across the finish line.
Yeah, 34th, third, sixth his last few times out. Even on that 34th place finish, he had opened with a 68. He kind of had one bad round in Singapore. So yeah, I just think, to your point, the numbers, I mean, now I believe he's closer to 66 as we look at it.
Still
Which
good. Still good.
Yeah, it's still totally fine. Actually, they're 70 hanging on DraftKings Sports still. So I'm definitely going back to the well there. And man, you posted 3 picks for crossing over, Baroff. This could be a
I guess
big week.
on Nap real quick that it
Yeah.
would just, so my struggle there is because I have bet him a few times this year despite his results. I don't have a good way, a trusting way for Challenge Tour. So like I only, even just using his Euro stuff only, I think he should probably be around 70. But the question is, like, did he finally find something, like you said with these last two? Like sometimes, especially when I'm modeling it, there's some finesse there, right? It's kind of like Ricky. Ricky, obviously, since going back to Butch, has fixed something in his swing. It's drastically different, and you can tell. So maybe Nap's feeling more comfortable now, and maybe this T3, T6, because I mean he was coming off some pretty ugly play there. But yeah, T34, T30, T6. So although I haven't bet him yet this week, that could be one that I sneak in there quick before they tee off.
100%. We're probably getting a little bit more regular tee time, right? The last couple of weeks we've had the 7 o'clock tee time. As we shift a little more west on the world, we're going to be able to see some of that golf in the early morning. Some coffee golf should be somewhat back. I guess we have daylight
8
savings
hours ahead.
and daylight savings, so we should be catching that in the mornings. I'll take that. That was a tough watch, especially losing like that at 4 in the morning. That was
it's not good.
But we continue charging on. Now, actually, RB, I'll pass it over to you. You have one more before we reach triple digits.
Got it. Yeah, Jaco Prinsloo, a blast from the past. Someone who we had bet, our friend Corey had sort of brought him to my attention. I mean, it's got to be 8 years ago now, right? We've been betting these guys for so long. But he also, older guy, and just seems to have found something. He won a South African Tour event towards the end of last summer, and really has just maintained that form now onto the Challenge Tour, where he's finished second and third his last 2 events. And again, I think it's not a huge jump in field strength from Challenge Tour to here, and I got him at 90 actually. And for a guy who's coming off back-to-back top 3 finishes, I will gladly take that.
I think you make a good point, right? In the sense of we are getting some Challenge Tour grads or Challenge Tour members as of now into this field. We're getting a good amount of Sunshine Tour members. Again, we mix in with kind of that Safari Tour and amateurs that are in this field. So it can't be much more than a Challenge Tour event, even if you knock off, I guess, those top couple guys deserving there, but nobody that I'm scared to see really on the top of the leaderboard at Sunday. And that's what makes me like to really dive into these places and these deeper guys down the board as we keep going there. Now, like some of the better informed guys even got priced lower than that, right? Brandon Stone, you woke up kind of interested in betting. He was sub 50s in most spots. Jaco had the best kind of form there. But then I'll even transition to this guy before, because I think he might have been bet down a little bit from triple digits as we look. No, we still have 80s to 100s available as of now for the chosen one, Casey Jarvis. Right? Casey Jarvis, if we're talking with Jaden Scaper, I mean Jarvis, I believe, is even younger than him. similar in capacity, where we're kind of betting these early South African amateurs who turn pro in their teens, who have caught a lot of fire. I mean, we previewed Jarvis, I believe, on that show as we looked into the end of the year. Came out right out of the gates, finished ninth at the Joburg Open. Was 54-hole second place or third place, I believe, to Bradbury and Valimaki in that final group. We've seen him make cuts on the DP World Tour. Just he had won his first big Easy Tour event, summer of 2022. So all that adds up to a similar profile with similar Challenge Tour form, 9th, 2nd, 20th, his last three there. Anything to add on Jarvis at triple digits?
I actually bet him twice because I liked the 66 this morning, and then he came out at 100. So yeah, again, and like either of those, so he's got two recent runner-up finishes. Both he easily could have won, right? He lost the Challenge Tour event to JJ Senecal, who shot 62-65, just some gross numbers. And then back in November, he ran into George Ketsia at home. You know, nobody beats George Ketsia at home. So that's a pretty solid runner-up finish. And yeah, just like that, he's won. So you mentioned a Big Easy Tour event. He's won about 10 amateur events as well. Like, you know, I like to see that progression. So sign me up for Casey Jarvis.
I like it. I like it a lot. Now, Axis, you don't really model out the Challenge Tour much at all. Is that comparison, nope, do you think, fair between the fields? Are we getting out of, the league when we're starting to bet some of these guys deep down the board?
I mean, it's not a good field, but again, like you said, it's hard for me to truly say this is probably close. This is probably one of the worst. This will be one of the lower strengths on. I mean, the back end of this is nothing really. So to take some of these Challenge Tour guys, I mean, this is probably the place. I find it hard to stomach. But again, we bet slightly different. There's multiple ways to do it, right? So to me, seeing the Challenge Tour, yes, that is nice, especially to see the T5s and everything. I just don't know how well it translates exactly, because he was doing that coming in, and then he missed the cut at the Joburg. He's got a 41st. He's got a 40th on the European only events, not sanctioned. So like I haven't seen it quite carry despite the form. And then he goes right back to the Challenge Tour, dominates again. So is the gap bigger than we perceive? Is he feeling nervous in the Euro? I don't know. It's really hard for me to put a number on, so I normally just live vicariously through you.
It's fair. I mean, you only get so many shots to bet Kurt Kitayama, at 300-1 in a big, elevated event before people catch on. So it's basically the same thing every week we get to do on the DP World Tour and betting these guys.
Absolutely.
I'll transition into, some love for our listeners and support here. You can find us, if you are an audio preference listener, on any of your podcast platforms at Daily Fantasy Sports Picks and Bets, The Mix, Mayo Media Network, overarching for us. Obviously, a huge week on the PGA Tour side with the Players Championship. Gearing up, Augusta will be here before we know it. So, appreciate all the love from Pat and the crew there. Excited for, again, like I said, our stretch coming ahead. So rating, reviews, subscribes, YouTube comments, it goes a really long way to keeping this podcast up and running on our favorite tour. And with that, I'm getting deep on the board. I'm getting pretty long down here. Now, Access, if I have your card correctly, you got one more selection and 500, right? So we got a little bit of time to get there.
Yep.
RB, you got, let's see, I'm at 250s.
One more for me. Yeah, one more at 100 for me, or 110.
Then I got to warm up the vocals here a little bit.
Yeah, I got our good friend Angel Hidalgo, Challenge Tour grad. Again, he's got the form, 10th, 28th, 8th over his last 4 events. Pretty inconsistent, but the approach game has been coming around, and I think that's sort of the hallmark of his game when he's playing well. But again, like, he has done well at some comp courses. He's played well. He had a 15th at the Maiden Himmerland, which I think, again, small course, short course, elevation type stuff. He had a 4th at the Andalucia Masters, and he's won at every stage of his career. A couple of amateur wins, a couple Alps Tour wins, got a Challenge Tour win, and I just think this is next in line for that progression. So I got him at 110-1, and that'll wrap it up for me.
Okay. I dig it. I mean, what it was Valderrama when he was right in the mix, right? Was that the last time where he
Yep.
almost won on that Sunday? Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, okay. I'm a fan of Hidalgo. He can score.
I didn't
So
bet it, but I did make him 104. So there you go. My trashy model is on your side.
Look at those 6 points for me. Yeah.
um so there's two golfers really kind of as we stretch into the longer odds here that we've talked about a bunch, not a bunch, a handful of times, I guess, as the season has started, and their odds are still there. Now we were so excited to wake up Monday morning 2 weeks ago to bet Manu Gandis at 250 to 1. Now, I don't
Mm.
want to compare, in the DLF and comfort in the Indian golf courses to what Kenya may be and how different that is. I really don't know. I don't know what they're playing week in and week out on the PGA Tour of India. Um, but he opened 70-73 on a very difficult golf course that saw him inside the top 10 after the first round and inside the top 20 still after the second round. The week before, he had closed with that 68. He was 70th after the first round and climbed all the way back to 28th. We've talked how he's a 6-time winner last year on the PGA Tour of India. He's just starting to get in a little bit of a groove, I think, at least somewhat of a form jump that we've been looking into. There was 3 golfers who got those exemptions from winning the orders of merit, right? Which means they probably pretty much dominated those type of courses. Danny Van Tonder was the other one. And then I think on the PGA Tour of China, the guy has struggled a lot. Which one was it? Cheng Yao Ma. He's just struggled a lot. I think he's missed every cut when he's gotten into the field so far. So again, the step up in class is a big jump, of course, as we get there. But somebody who wins and has that profile, to me, I think rounding into a little bit of form was something I liked at 250s. I'm definitely willing to go back to the well because we would hate ourselves if we did not bet him and he plays this week.
I mean, his 2022. I mean, we talked about this earlier. So his 2022 looks very similar to like Jaden Trey Shaper's 2019 of amateur status of just like win, 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 3 win, win, second win. Again, for me, it was just coming back to I didn't mind chasing him in India. Obviously, if he won here, that'd be like, ooh, that was silly. But it's in the same vein of like the jump, like you said. Now, maybe he's getting more comfortable also, but it just hasn't quite translated. But 2 more promising results, like you mentioned. Hey, I've made a lot worse bets, put it that way. We bet for places, right?
I mean, we'll take it. I mean, half the time, there is, I wouldn't even say half the time, almost every single event, there's somebody's at places that almost pays out more than the winner.
We just did it with Cole.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Eric Cole's playoff loss was a huge hit for that all of us except Baroff were on. So I think of sticking with the Gondis theme and wanting to not jump off somebody too early. I mean, 2 weeks ago or 2 events ago, I guess, was betting somebody whose name, and I can't pronounce a lot of the names, but Gudmundur Chris Johnson was somebody who showed a little life, right? He was 49th in Singapore. He opened with a 68, and then he had closed with a 66 in that event. Enough for me, absolutely, to be intrigued at 1,000 to 1. Mediocre at the Thailand Classic, but made a cut. I mean, we talk about what Guido did the year of in 2019 when he led us. He hadn't made a cut, or if he had, I think it was like a 60th place finish. Yeah, it was like 60th place. He was basically dead last people who made the cut, and then he showed up at Kenya and did what he did. Right? I don't know if we have enough on these guys to really be able to profile them if we can show it out. And
Did you ever? I was just gonna say, did you ever think about this? I'm really sorry to cut you off, but back then when they were doing all that caddy numbers, like if we could have got tricked into loving Guido when you think about it.
we got tricked into loving Ivan Quintero Gutierrez.
Yeah, that one was bad. Those numbers were, oh my gosh, those were egregious. But anyway,
we could
sorry.
have. We could.
I mean, he struck the ball very clearly watching that, and since then we know what he can do shaping it. But it does make me chuckle knowing what I know now about how. I mean, we knew those stats weren't like necessarily wonderful, but like you go back and try to piece some of those together, and those numbers are so far off.
Baroff used to make me update the stats after every round to send to him, I think, back in like
Pedro is
2018.
still in the field. He's like 800 to
True.
1 or something.
Oh man. Yeah, we used to
Brigadero.
'cause I'd have to wait for the website to load and then
Yeah,
manually calculate between the rounds in the glory days. That's
that
what
was
we lived
good.
at. And that's how we got Guido, right? We showed up after
That
that first
is.
round. And truthfully, of my golf betting career, if Gudmundur would have won in India, that would have been one of the toughest pills to swallow. Now,
Yeah.
why I'm jumping back, I literally was willing to accept 150s on him this week. I wasn't going to give up. He was second after 36 holes in India. And then he had an awful weekend. Absolutely, awful weekend, which was better for the number, right? He shot
Yep.
77, 78 on the weekend, finished 48th. And here we are, 500 to 1. And Axis is joining in with us.
Yeah, but I have nothing to say about it other than I'm gonna party with you. That's all I have to say.
I've never
about
bet someone from Iceland, so that's
Yeah.
a new
I mean,
one.
he's 34. I mean, what are we doing? I mean,
You said that, and there he was.
Make the sell again. Make the sell again.
Okay. So I don't want to say those aren't real selections because we've had insight to these guys leading up to that. But I wanted a fresh one, and I got two to close us out with. This is one separate of getting into the national invitations for Safari Tour and amateurs. This one is something that I will be surprised if Baroff's not betting by the end of this show. So, golfer by the name of Tom Valiant. Did you see this guy in the field?
Yeah, Alps Tour guy. I know Tom.
So he's only 21 years old. So he just turned pro, I believe, September of last year. So those two wins on the Alps Tour were as an amateur at the ripe age of 21. I think he was 20 when he was winning. So he was a two-time winner on the Alps Tour last year as an amateur. Pops up to the Kazoo Open, made the cut in his first ever. I don't even think he was a pro yet. And then he won the Europeans men's club, which is like a decent amateur event there at the end of 2022. And it was just had a pretty solid amateur career overall. He's I believe he's a Frenchman, right?
Yep.
So if you look at that, what really popped to me, again, if we look at that, it's kind of a pedigree you look for. And then he missed his first cut when he got a Challenge Tour start, his first start of 2023. And then last week on the Challenge Tour, Tom was the 54-hole leader as we looked at it. So he opened 66, 64, and then it got really difficult on Saturday, shot 73, and then he was 71 on Sunday and finished third to Dylan Mostert, who's also in this field. It kind of feels Bradbury-like to me in the somewhat of, a decent amateur career, relatively slept on, popped over for the Alps Tour, at least amateur starts, strong finishes. We know the Alps Tour creates just bona fide winners.
In Kenya.
Yeah, so it might be a link. We might have to run these events to see if Guido won any of the same events as Valiant did, but he was 350 to 1. And coming out of that, like that doesn't seem, that just seems way off from everybody else being two good Challenge Tour events and being 60s to 1. Like, is there that much difference in Jarvis or who was the other guy that was the Euro Pro Tour golfer who I think he snuck into the field? He's 70 to 1. Bodden is last name. I think it's Bailey Bodden. He's
Yep,
like
yep.
70s, right? So why is Valiant 350 to 1 this week when we kind of have that? That's probably my favorite bet outside of like Scaper, I think, of the week.
I just want to know from Tom well, he's French, so how would you say that? Valiant? I don't know how to.
I guess he's 250 as we record this right now.
So my question is, he basically played a full Alps Tour schedule last year. Like, where was he an amateur? Like, was he just not want to turn pro?
He had signed with Arkansas State. I don't know how long he was there, but he did play a little college golf. But yeah, he played almost a full Alps Tour, or I think he did play a full Alps Tour schedule last year. Yeah. I agree. I will say that I did look at it because I did notice that he finished third last week, and big fan of the last 4 rounds. So maybe we'll get there. We'll see.
Yeah, the only thing that I could think of is like similar to getting to play in the like a Walker Cup, or getting to play,
Mm.
like holding on to your amateur status to be able to play things. Like, I don't know if that's what the European men's, club trophy might mean to somebody of there. Like, that's a
Fair
bigger
enough.
event. He also played on the World Amateur Team Championship, which is full of someone like that's got like Puig and Semikawa and Filippo Celli and Aberg all on there. Like that's bigger couple events. So potentially, I don't even know if that last one may get him a spot in like the Open Championship. Um, I'm not confident, but yeah, because those are the only couple events he went back and played after he started his Alps Tour season. So he said bet down to 250s. I mean, 175 with some top six places there. But I'm definitely in on Valiant, just knowing that the age and kind of pedigree what he had as an amateur.
I think it's a good one. So the other guy that I almost bet, just because it seemed like a bad number, talk about like your Bradbury mold, and a guy that you personally were all over last summer when he made the jump up for those events to the main tour. Matthew Baldwin opened up on a book at 225 this morning. I think he's mostly like 90s or 100s now, but it was just a number that stood out. He has decent course history. We know he can play and win. He's won at least once or twice on the Challenge Tour. So that was one that I was also very close on.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have bet that for sure.
Yeah, it was on 365 and not anywhere easy to get, but I was close on that one this morning.
Yeah, a couple other guys that have kind of had that tick of form a little bit. Like we've seen Axelson make 3 cuts in a row. He was somebody kind of thought he was top 20, I believe, after 2 rounds or 3 rounds actually in India before he blew up there. Would love to see him roll in a little bit of form. But that's really all I have before we go safari.
Yeah, the only other one that I'll mention, just because it'll hurt. Actually, I'm not even sure he's in the. Is Simon Forstrom in the field? I feel like he has to be. That one. He's 80.
Yeah, he's in. Yeah.
Yeah, I see some 80s. Yeah, I think that one would hurt. He also played well at the Hero Indian Open. I just committed to quitting on him, but I do like him this week.
Okay, good to know. I think him, like Veto type, like those guys, right? We still think highly of as the numbers kind of get shorter. But access anybody else, you love to bet this range.
I mean, I might. You might have actually. The best sell was probably on Tom Vaillant that we just talked about. To be quite honest with you, of just chasing places, that would be, yeah. What is Twitter's little sprinkle? Be a little sprinkler out there. Just yeah.
I will say, if you can make a phone call, Baldwin is still 200 on that other book.
Yeah, Canada doesn't like me, but I'll see if I got friends there.
It's a big number.
Or Jersey. I keep forgetting they're in Jersey too.
Yep, call our friend BK.
I'm about to say the same thing.
Take care of it for you.
I swear I will do a tweet about him needing a proxy today too. So
yeah.
But also, actually, we can't be remiss. We had a call in from a longtime listener, first time caller, wanting to speak on one of another South African legend. Access was betting Grant Forrest. His good friend Toby Tree is teeing it up this week. I don't know if there's any ties to Toby Tree Golf Course or Golf Club, which he named it, to here. But for our friend Jude Deloy, keep betting Toby. This could be his week.
Won't be, but could be.
Next time, he might. We got to get Toby on a podcast too. That could be good for us.
He'd be all for it. Yeah.
If you call him on a Saturday or Sunday, he's normally available.
That's a good one. That's a good dig. All right, here we go. Diving in. So like we mentioned, so if you guys need to go back to the 2022 Magical Kenya Open show, I won't go as long into it because we don't have the Robson Chinhoy Twitter follower in the field this week. But the Safari Tour is the mini tour, actually a professional tour in Kenya, where they gave the top, I believe, 8 spots, basically to the top 8 in the order of merit, to those that are playing on that tour. I'll send out a tweet tomorrow once the show's post of the guys and kind of their order of the season on how they're standing as of now. But it's a pretty cool thing, right? I mean, we don't really see that. You get national spots, you get things, but it's not like you get the Nordic Golf Tour sending up guys like from their order of merit up. You might get one guy who kind of gets a spot here or there, but getting the entire top of their field. And there was a sponsorship secured after, last year. So these guys do have an incentive based on how they finish on the leaderboard. If they make a cut, they get a higher payout than what they would have had, just from their basic. If they make a top 20, there's an extra level, 10 extra
So
level.
they're
So
ahead of the PGA Tour even in what they're doing.
for sure, incentivizing their their own guys to continue to play well on it. It's a pretty cool thing, actually. And these guys, I mean, there is tweets from the last month from these accounts like celebrating the invitations that these guys get. So I think it's pretty cool, right? We didn't see any, I believe, of the Magical Kenya guy or the Safari Tour guys make the cut last year. Chinhoy, like I said, scared it. We've seen some cuts made in the past of it. Leader of that order of merit who has a spot is Greg Snow. It's funny to think now at this time that Greg Snow seems like a household name to me, that we've seen him field a handful of times. But Snow is teeing up. He has missed cut the last 3 times playing at this course. If you looked a little bit down there, Robson Chinhoy's arch rival from Zimbabwe is in the field, Visitor Mapwanya. He actually was the winner at Mathia Golf Course earlier this month. He shot, I believe he won at -3. He did beat out Greg Snow by a stroke there. So Visitor Mapwanya is that one. And we laugh about this, right? We say the corollary courses, guys that are calling Mathia Golf Course their own golf course. But yet the last time out, going into the final round of the Hero Indian Open, one of those golfers who called DLF his home, not Kartik Sharma, who made the cut easily, but the other golfer who had it was inside the top 10, I believe, going into the final day at some decent odds. So overall, I do think that can be somewhat of an angle. Now, again, all of these guys are 1,000, 1,500, 2,500 plus beyond. But there is one golfer I do want to specifically highlight, and that's going to find a way onto a betting card. He's going to find a way into some posts for the week, and it's because there was a golfer who made the cut last year at this course. Now, he was an amateur at the time. I actually do believe he still has his amateur status, as in the process of learning about this. Apparently, there's a feeder school in the middle of Iowa that has 2. They have 9 golfers, I believe, on their team. 2 of them are freshmen from Kenya that are playing there. Jude made a shout out, maybe potentially connection to Iowa State has a New Zealand connection there. So who knows? Well, I think like Bob went to like Kennesaw State or something like that. Like you get
McNissy, I think maybe.
Yeah, that might have been it. Yeah, you get Morocco went to, like you get some feeder schools from specific countries, but middle of Iowa, I think it's called like.
You're not going to bring up Belgium and Illinois? Come on.
Yeah, true. Andy Johnson, Belgium's own, when you look at that, I think it's Indian Hills Golf Community Club. Yeah, Indian Hills Community College in Ottumwa, Iowa. He's home of, let me pull up the right one, Njogi Kibugu, Kibugu. Okay, 19 years old.
He played all right last year outside of round 4.
So that's why, right? So you keep looking. There's not much out here, but if you really want to like kind of dig into what you could see now, he was probably the story of last year at this event for those that were local. He was 70th. He shot a 70 after round 1. He was 40th. Round 2, 66, was 5th place heading into the weekend at 18 years old. So looking at kind of some recent form from him, and wouldn't you know, he's been playing, he popped over on winter break to play a Safari Tour event, was the 36-hole leader at the event. Unfortunately, he did get beat out by Baroff and Chinhoy once again on the last round. Chinhoy just too good. But if you searched his name on Twitter and looked through 2022 numbers of it, I mean, just people absolutely were so excited for the kid, right? A 66, relatively, out of nowhere for him. Like he seems like he's got some energy, probably the top amateur of the bunch here. He has multiple top 5 finishes so far in his college career. Community college, now it's a smaller community college school, but you do look at him in that event that he played. He had won at the Karen Challenge in a junior event last summer. He, from a pedigree standpoint of what you could get from maybe the accolades, like he's making cuts on the South African Amateur. He made it to the 64-hole knockout. Just a decent pedigree from what he has come to. He made the cut. He then finished second at the same course the next week. And then on the Safari Tour, like I said, he battled his one event that he played on there earlier in the year, did not win, but was in the mix. 1,000 to 1 for a little fun? Come on.
Oh, I'm in. I mean,
Sounds fun.
We're on Chinhor. I mean, that is if I can get, well, whatever. Even if I only get $3 down on it, I'm in.
Oh, that's still a good payday right there. We could probably make our way to the Magical Kenya Open next year if he hits that. But yeah, I mean,
if he hits that, I'll sponsor him there next year.
Get ahead of yourself here, kid. So, I mean, you look at it, right? 18-year-old local amateur. This is called his home course when on the main page. So we have some at least insight to him calling it, where it makes sense why he played so well, relatively out of nowhere last year, right? So maybe he doesn't have the same wins to his name, but a top 20 we could probably pull into here with some decent odds. I think there's 3 golfers that called Mathia. It's home, Kabugu, Greg Snow, and then there's actually might be his older brother. I don't know. The same last name, a little bit older, also calls this course home as well. Muthaya or Mutai is his name. Pronunciations, I apologize if you are listening from Kenya, cheering on from the Safari Tour. But I'm going back to the well. 1,000 to 1 there. I like it. Okay. I assume you guys didn't stay up to 3 in the morning Safari Tour research. Is that just me?
That was all you, buddy. All you.
I can't say that I did.
I look forward to that challenge. The other amateur is Adele Balala. I say that because it's Balala is his last name. So I think that's a correct pronunciation. He's actually higher on some amateur rankings on it. He's had a decent look at that so far, but I definitely think the home course narrative is strong this year as we go back to Mathia Golf Course.
Adele Tafik Balala.
We got land this plane here. Let's go through betting cards. Axis, you go first.
All right. So I started off with Connor Syme, 40 to 1 each way. Grant Forrest, 40 to 1 each way. Jaden Trey Scaper, however you want to say that, 55 to 1 each way. And then you may have talked me into some of these deep shots. I mean, I'm definitely gonna play Kabugu with you. And then we're obviously on the Icelandic golfer. What is Gundamar?
Gudmundur Johnson.
Gudmundur. 500 to 1 each way.
You're up, kid.
Yeah, Sharma at 33. I think we should just call him JT. JT Shaper at 55. Alexander Knapp 80. Prinsloo at 90. Jarvis at 100. Hidalgo at 110. And it sounds like I will be adding Tom Gallant. So I'm going to have to get on that.
Oh, I did bet Tom as we were talking.
Yeah, looks like we'll be adding that one.
Okay. So Scaper for me, JT Scaper at 45 to 1. And then we'll go Alexander Knapp. And we kind of confirmed that pronunciation, right? I don't think it's the way Tom was pronouncing it prior. Maybe. But
I think that's the American pronunciation is Knapp.
The American's Knapp. My family has some Knapp on the side, and that's how they pronounce it, and they're German. But hey,
hopefully we can hear the announcers. If the announcers are talking about him, that means he's on the leaderboard. So Alexander Knapp for me. Casey Jarvis, he was at 80. Jarvis still has, I believe, 100s out there, 80s as well that I'm okay with. And then we get deeper, right? Manu Gondis, he was 250 to 1. I guess Tom Valiant is also 250 to 1 at this point. Gudmundur, Chris Johnson at 500 to 1. And then we're going back to Njorgi Kabugu at 1,000 to 1. We'll probably get some top 10s, top 20s as we go down that leaderboard there. Don't be surprised to hear a couple first round leaders on those guys if we get a little wave split. the Magical Kenyan Open is back, folks. The best trophy in all of golf.
Oh,
That is for
easily.
sure. So hopefully we can, maybe we can win enough to bring back the Belgian knockout. That should be the goal.
Let's do it.
They need to now that it's no match play in the PGA. I mean, step up.
It'll be
Give
that
us
or
what
Super
we want.
6 or the other. But perfect, boys. Well, I appreciate you guys doing this again. Tom, happy birthday. Enjoy your 30th. Maybe another excuse to get these three hooligans back together right here for another event in the future. But appreciate you all listening, and we'll catch you all again next week as we start the South African events. Take care.